All right, I think we are live here. Just getting this set up. So first, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us here today, everyone. Looks like we're right on schedule here, so I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So I just want to say, first of all, welcome to today's webinar hosted by Travefy Academy with our featured guest, Megan Baugh, who will be chatting with us today about finding your niche to drive more sales this year and beyond. So this is perfect timing, beginning of the year, lots of resolutions happening, lots of excitement, deciding on new things to take your company to the next level. So this will be really cool. But to give you a quick plug though on Travefy Academy and kind of what to expect on today's webinar. So at Travefy, we get the opportunity to work with all kinds of amazing travel advisors from around the world. And with that, we get to learn about what travel professionals are doing to build their business. So what we wanted to do was start sharing these stories through Travefy Academy. So we're really excited to provide this educational webinar today as well. So our hope for Travefy Academy is really to be a resource for travel advisors from a wide range of perspective and different experience levels. So that's what you'll find in today's webinar. So with that being said, let's get started and dive in. Now, first, I'm just going to present another slide here to introduce ourselves. So first, to introduce myself. I'm the Community Outreach Manager at Travefy, and my name is Stephanie. So any of those of you who are on here who have Travefy, we may have chatted before, but if not, nice to meet you all. But we also have Scott Rutz, who's a member of our founding team on here as well. So he's going to be in the chat. So you might see him respond to one of your messages, one of your chat responses in there during this webinar. But then we also have our special guest, Megan, who I'm really excited to introduce here in just a minute. But I do want to mention a couple things. So one, there is that question box provided. So you can use that to ask any questions at all. And like I mentioned, we have Scott in there who will be able to quickly answer questions. So if you have technical questions or, just questions relating about what we're talking about, put those in there, and then we'll go over questions at the end. So we'll hold a Q&A session. But then also this webinar will last probably about an hour. We're planning on chatting, answering some questions with Megan for probably about 20, 30 minutes. Maybe it might go a little over, go a little under, but then we'll have time at the end for those questions, because that's where, we'll really be able to interact with, get everybody involved and bring in all those questions. And then the last thing that I want to mention too is that we are recording this. So this is being recorded right now. And after this is done, you will receive email about maybe an hour after this airs, and then you'll be able to rewatch it. So if you have to hop off, if a client calls you, or if one of your colleagues or a friend wants to check this out, feel free, you can send it to them, and check that out. So with all that being said, let's get into the fun part of this. So the moment we've been waiting for, to introduce our special guest, Megan. To tell you a little bit about her, though, so Megan is a destination wedding expert with over 10 years of experience planning destination weddings throughout the world. Megan holds a CTC designation from the Canadian Institute of Travel Counselors and is a member of the Association of Bridal Consultants. So Megan founded Baconko Travels, a travel agency specializing in destination weddings in 2009, and was actually rewarded the prestigious Most Popular Destination Wedding Planner in Canada award. No big deal there, from the wedding industry experts in 2016. So Megan has also received many acknowledgments of her business success, including the most recently being inducted into the President's Circle with travel leaders, reaching GIVC Diamond Level 3 status with Charisma Hotels, and achieving Platinum Crown Palace Pro agent status, and also qualifying for Platinum Level Amped Power Agent with Hard Rock Hotels. So that's very exciting. We're so excited to chat with her today. So Megan, thank you for being here. This is great.
Thank you so much for having me. That was quite the introduction, Stephanie. Really excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so what we're going to do now is we're really just going to kind of jump in. We're going to start asking you questions, Megan. And then again, everyone listening, go ahead and ask those questions in the chat, because we will go over them at the end. So we're going to talk about a wide range of, focusing on kind of how Megan got started. So we'll get to dive into that, but then also how you can find your niche, whether it's destination weddings or something else. And also you'll probably get a lot of really great tips from Megan on marketing and all types of, software, things like that. So let's dive in here. So let's not waste any more time. So the first question that we wanted to kind of ask you was kind of a broad one to kind of get us diving in here is basically, why is focusing on a niche so important for a successful travel business? And then also, can you tell us a little bit about your journey in finding your niche, and then also more about, what you specialize in, how you got there?
For sure, Stephanie. Thank you so much. So first of all, I think focusing on a niche is really, really important. And I'm so excited that we are here today speaking about focusing on a niche, because I think that's really what makes travel agents and travel agencies stand out and really be successful in the travel industry today. I think that's really important because of the direction that the travel industry has taken over the past several years and the direction that it continues to take. We've seen the onslaught of the OTAs convincing people to book online. We've dealt with the commissions being cut from the airlines. We've dealt with things like suppliers marketing directly to our clients as well. So there's a lot of competition out there. There's these multi-million-dollar companies that have huge marketing budgets that can do so much more than we sometimes feel like we can do as small home-based travel agents or little brick and mortar travel agencies. But what can really help set us apart is having that niche or that area of specialization. It really makes us stand out against the competition, and it makes those clients have a reason to book with you, where a client might not book with you just for an all-inclusive vacation down south. If they're booking a destination wedding and you're a destination wedding expert, that's going to make that client want to book that particular trip with you. For myself, Stephanie, I started out in the industry a little more than 10 years ago. When I started, I did start as a home-based agent. I didn't start with a lot of experience, and I didn't start with a lot of knowledge in travel in general, and definitely not a lot of knowledge in destination weddings. I decided, though, very early in my career that I very specifically wanted to specialize in destination weddings. And the reason that I got to that, Stephanie, was because when I started out, I realized that I had no friends and family that traveled a lot, or if they did travel, they weren't booking with travel agents. I couldn't see a reason, I couldn't see how I could convince them to book with a travel agent. So I really felt like I needed a niche that was going to require a travel agent. I needed a niche that you were going to say that, okay, I can book on Expedia, I can book an all-inclusive vacation, I can book a trip to Paris, but I can't book a destination wedding on Expedia. So that's how I got to that. And I don't think that it always has to be something that you do decide at the beginning of your career. I think sometimes niches will find you as well. So I specifically specialize since I started in destination weddings, but along the way, maybe in 2012 or 2013, I also got kind of a niche within a niche, which is I started specializing more specifically in South Asian weddings. I don't only do South Asian weddings, but it's another specialization, another niche that really makes people, if you were booking a South Asian wedding, you would definitely want to book with somebody who is really experienced in that type of travel.
That's really cool, and that's what one of the biggest things that's true too is how you're setting yourself apart. You found a way, like, what is something that we obviously have online. Everyone can Google and find things, but you found a way to give them, like, well, you can Google this, but I'm actually an expert, and you really are going to want to stick with me. And you found that area where people do need help. So that's really cool. That's really smart in that. And then question two, and can you tell us a little bit about your specific niche? So you do destination weddings, but there's a special type of wedding that you focus in? Can you tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that was, as I was kind of mentioning, my niche within a niche. So I started out specializing specifically in the destination weddings, and it just so happened along the way that a South Asian bride and groom contacted me and wanted to work with me. I hadn't done that type of wedding before, but I gave it my all. I learned all about the events and the different aspects and cultural requirements, religious requirements within those types of weddings. I attended the weddings. I provided on-site wedding coordination as kind of something a little bit extra that I could provide. And that really turned into a secondary niche for me, that now I can also say that I specialize in South Asian, mainly Sikh destination weddings as well.
That's awesome. And we have a picture here. That looks like such a fun time that you get to go to those weddings too.
It is. This one actually I just did in January, so I just got back from this one.
Awesome.
Absolutely a whole lot of fun. And I think one of the reasons that we've got this picture as well is specifically when you're really trying to specialize in a niche, you need to see within that niche, what are the needs? What do people need that they don't have, if you want to set yourself apart and really be able to fill that need. So the reason I gave you this picture, Stephanie, is because of those, they're called jagos, the pots that the ladies have on their heads. Those are a very important aspect of a particular function within a destination or within a South Asian wedding. And they're hard to take down to Mexico. They are bigger than they look. They won't fit in a whole big check bag. Yeah. So what I actually did is I purchased them and I keep them with a partner that I work with in Cancun, so that when my weddings, when my South Asian weddings go down to Cancun, they don't have to try to bring these big things down. I have them there for them to borrow or rent.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that actually brings us perfectly transitioning to our next question is setting yourself apart and offering those special things, those adding extra value. So besides just this as one example, what are other ways that you provide value to your clients that make them want to work with you instead of trying to book it on their own?
Well, I think the most important thing is just having that niche, which is going to give you that level of expertise, that experience. Obviously, hopefully, you're doing a lot of training and keeping up on all the day-to-day changes within your niche. So I think it just starts with that, having the expertise. But once you've really specialized in that, showing people how specialized you are by everything that you do. So for example, I started a couple of years ago providing perks to my larger destination weddings, where if they reached a certain number of guests, they could get things like complimentary invitations, wedding invitations. And of course, I did the passport style wedding invitations because those are very, very popular for destination weddings. I started providing things like welcome bags. I would make sure that I had them branded with my logo, of course, and my company name. And in those bags, I would put, depending on what the clients wanted, things like waterproof cell phone cases, the sunglasses with the bride and groom's name on them and the wedding date are really important, room key holders, document holders, little hangover kits, fans, bottle openers, all kinds of really fun things. I had a lot of fun putting those kind of things together.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so on something like this, so what we have on the screen as an example, do you usually include all of that, or is it kind of like they can work their way up to include all of that, or is there like different levels that you kind of provide?
Yeah, so it's usually a dollar limit. So I have a website where they can go and kind of order what they want. I sell the stuff basically at cost because it is promoting my business as well. But I would give a dollar amount. So if they got to 50 guests, maybe they'd get $20 per guest or something like that, that they could go and then select which items they wanted.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. And one thing too that I wanted to bring up, so I had a picture here of my just slideshow here of the passport holder, and I wanted to bring this because this is really cool. So do you just get this printed, or did you have like work with a printer on that and order
Yes.
those?
Actually from a promotional company that's quite popular for doing document holders and different items that are related to travel agencies. And they're not paying me or anything to say this today, but I thought they were really cool. I think they worked out to maybe about $4 each. And it was from Agency Promos is the name of the company.
Okay.
are based in America. So
Yeah, that's really cool. It's so unique. It just adds extra value there. And then one other thing that I wanted to touch on before we move to the next topic is I don't know. I think you kind of mentioned it, but the wedding website. So this is another thing that you offer your clients, and I think this is really cool because this is something that's just on your website. You can just go ahead and just create right away, and then offer this to them.
yes. So that's the other part of really setting yourself apart, Stephanie, is as the little guy, I don't have a huge market to be able to come up with tools, software, apps like Travefy, creating websites and stuff like that. So it's really important to take advantage of those different companies that are really catering to us small guys, and offering things like Travefy does with the very richly formatted, beautiful itineraries that maybe Expedia has the budget to be able to develop something like that. Obviously, I don't, but to be able to get something like that from different companies. So again, going back to specializing in your niche and just showing how these tools really make people want to book with you, because they can see that it's just going to be a completely seamless process, that you have all of the tools and that you use it to make that booking process as seamless as possible for the clients. So I start actually with an application that I use called Proposable for proposals. So I develop a proposal on there for every new bride and groom. Terms and conditions, perks, everything is in there. They have to agree to the proposal before we go ahead. Once they agree to the proposal, then I set this website up for them. Now, the reason that I set up the website is not just so that they have this nice fancy website to look at, but it's because, as you can see, I have the option there for the client or for the guests to be able to book online right on the website, which makes things so seamless because I have that integrated with my CRM. I work with Vacation CRM. So when the clients book on the website, it gets imported automatically into CRM. And then since obviously I also work with Travefy and love Travefy. So once that reservation gets into CRM, with another touch of the button, I can make that reservation into a beautifully formatted I have mobile itinerary in Travefy as well. So it's kind of just that full package that really shows, how specialized you are and how easy you're going to make things for the client.
Yeah, that's awesome. So not only are you you have a seamless process on your end, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit too, but you have it on your end, but then you also have it on their end. I mean, it's just like a fill this form out and then I'll get you going. So that's really awesome.
Exactly.
Cool.
And for those clients who prefer to book online and who don't want to have to deal with phone calls and
Yeah.
whatever part of the booking process, this really works well for them.
Yeah, that's great. And so kind of on that too, so you have like the website and you're specializing and you're offering special value. But let's talk about marketing now, because I know this is a very hot topic a lot of the times because, it's really fun to have all this stuff, but you first have to get clients coming to you. So what are some of the best tools that you use? So any like software or social media sites that you prefer? And, just basically what ways have you found helps you get clients to you?
For sure, Stephanie. So I hate marketing. Just a small disclaimer there. And I would probably tell you that I don't actually do marketing, but that's not completely true. I've tried a whole lot of different things. It's been a lot of years. So I have tried a whole lot of different things. When I started out, as I mentioned, I didn't start with a lot of experience and knowledge. So those first weddings were really, really hard to get. I did start out doing a lot of things like there's so many free options that you can take advantage of. So I did things like Kijiji ads, Craigslist, stuff like that. I have been with Wedding Wire. I've done the paid accounts with Wedding Wire. I've had small success with these things, not a whole lot. Since I have the specialization in the South Asian weddings, I actually took out a radio ad on a local Indian radio station. That wasn't terribly successful either. I did a bridal show. which with some small success. I really think that if I had the time, if I wasn't too busy already, that is something that I really would focus on, would be those bridal shows. The bigger ones, I think, is really a place that you can get a lot of clients. However, for myself, I think that a lot of what I do for the marketing is everything that we've just talked about already. Having my name out there, having this seamless process, having the expertise, having the education, that's what makes people want to book with me. And I'm able to say I don't do marketing because my business is basically built on referrals and word of mouth. And that's free too. And that's, in this day and age, I think that's really something to be able to say. I don't know, Stephanie, how you guys are doing down there, but in Canada, we're in a little bit of an economic downturn, especially here in Western Canada. We've been having some problems recently. I just met with the BDM from my preferred supplier for groups for my destination weddings yesterday, and she was telling me that pretty much everybody's numbers are down this year, but if she looks at her list, she can say the ones that have maintained or not gone down very much would be the ones that have a specialization. The ones that are tanking are the ones that don't have those niches. So I think that's really, really crucial. And my numbers were actually up. So to be able to do that in an economic downturn is really amazing.
Yeah, so you pretty much, defined why a niche is important and finding that and providing that value. Yeah, that's really interesting. And one thing too, you mentioned kind of the word of mouth and referral. That's basically your marketing because you have these such amazing values. Now, I know I'm going to kind of set you up here because I know you kind of mentioned Facebook before with me, and I want to bring that up because I know a lot of people, like a lot of our users and stuff, they are using Facebook groups and a lot of agents because it's free to use. So it's a really popular source. So can you tell a little bit more about kind of how you're utilizing Facebook?
Absolutely. So that's probably where I've had the most success. And I guess that's tied in with the word of mouth and referrals, but even outside of the word of mouth and referrals. So I have done things like paid ads on Facebook, trying to get more likes on the business page, stuff like that. So I do think those types of things, those types of marketing on Facebook can be very successful as well. But where I've had the most success is getting into these Facebook groups that are within my niche. So for example, a local wedding group here in my hometown, or a wedding group specific to brides getting married in Cancun or brides getting married at a specific hotel. When you get into those groups, if you get one or two clients that have had a good experience with you and they start jumping on every post asking for recommendations, recommending you, that's the best marketing that you could possibly have. And it's free. So I think really important to make sure that you let those people know how much it's appreciated and really reward them for that. But I think you can see here some of the things like this girl, you're the second or third person to recommend her. Like there is no way they could not book with you after that. And it goes a lot further than myself jumping on the post and recommending myself. They're going to 100% take the recommendation of a past bride before they're going to listen to me, right?
Yeah, no, that's really cool. How many do you know off the top of your head? How many Facebook groups you kind of are kind of in or that you've looked into?
Probably between 5 and 10 that
Okay.
I'm active in. This particular one, I got a little bit lucky because I did get. I am admin now of this particular group, so this group has been really successful for me.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I remember if anyone on here was on our last Travefy Academy webinar with Will Medina, he also kind of highlighted this too. So this is really cool. And to see these screenshots, I mean, it speaks for themselves. I mean, it's just word of mouth and it's free. That's the best part about it. So that's really cool. That's awesome. And so, okay, so I'll leave those kind of up because I know people probably want to check those out. But the other thing that we want to talk about is we kind of want to talk about, since starting your business, what are some tools you can't live without? So you've been, doing this for over 10 years now. So I know things have completely changed. So what are some tools, and you did kind of touch on them a little earlier, but what are some tools that we might not have mentioned yet that you love using?
Well, I think we've talked about my big ones already. So for sure, the proposal is huge to be able to have that contract and agreement with the bride and groom right from the very beginning. And all of these tools, Stephanie, are things that I've really developed in the last like maybe 5 years. I wish I would have become a lot more successful a lot earlier in my career if I would have known about and been able to utilize some of these tools earlier. The websites and the API is just huge. I think that goes with Vacation CRM. They're really wonderful at being on the cutting edge, kind of, and really staying on top of new ways to make things simpler for us, right? Importing, exporting, and stuff like that. They're really good with their API, and of course, that's why they've partnered with Travefy. Travefy, the richly formatted itineraries are actually one of the perks that I put in the proposal for the bride and groom. So is the website. Like, these are just things that really make the process seamless for the guests, which in turn does make it seamless for the bride and groom, because of course when the guests are having problems, it's always the bride and groom that they're complaining to, right? So I think, yeah, Travefy, those itineraries, your CRM is so important. When I started out, I think I did 3 or 4 years without a CRM. So that's definitely really, really important. And for sure, the websites have been huge for me.
Oh, that's awesome. And shameless plug on Travefy here. We brought up one of your itineraries, and this is on the mobile app. So this is screenshots from a mobile app phone. So this is kind of what that app looks like. So do your clients, do you print out like a PDF version for them to take, or do they utilize the app? So that's kind of like a perk for them too.
Yeah, for sure they utilize the app. And I plug the app a lot because you're able to change, or things automatically update in there is the most awesome thing. I was on a connection a couple of months ago in Houston, I think, and the gate kept changing, and it's so happy to have that, information updated right there. But I do tell people to use the app because I want to be able to change things on the itinerary. So for example, maybe we have a certain wedding event, a very small wedding event scheduled at a certain time, but we don't have a confirmed location for that. So I'll put in the itinerary, this is the plan, check back here, 24 hours before the event to get the confirmed time or the confirmed location. And of course, then I do also bring some printed PDF copies as well for the older people who sometimes aren't that much into the app. But I've had really, really good feedback about the app for these multi-day weddings, which are the South Asian weddings. They're really, really for sure very useful. I've put in things there, like you can see the menu, a map for the larger hotels to be able to find the venues. And I attach their travel documents, so I don't send out travel documents in a separate email. They're all attached to the itinerary, and that's where they get that information. And I've had really, really good feedback about these itineraries.
That's awesome. And the really cool thing too to hear about is how seamless this is for you. I mean, you put everything into your CRM, and then luckily the CRM comes through to Travefy, so then you just push it over. So it's just like bam, bam, bam. It's like 3 steps, and that's it.
One button, one button, one button. It's so, when you think about so many things we have to deal with in this industry that are not seamless and that will take up your whole day, to have this part just be so easy is amazing.
Yeah, no, that's really great. And bringing you kind of into the last question here of, and this goes totally on it, is it sounds like the CRM was kind of one of those things that when you first were starting out, if you, any tips that you would have given yourself at the very beginning, it's probably to solidify those, steps, and you kind of have to experiment, a new thing, new products come, new software comes, develops too. But is there anything else that we might not have been able to touch on that you just would give as tips for somebody, not necessarily just starting out, but also like if somebody who already has a business and they're trying to find that niche to take their a business to the next level?
Well, I think you took my answer away from me because it really is, Stephanie, all of these tools. It really is accessing all of and this will change all the time. So probably Travefy, a lot of these things weren't available when I started out, but just staying on top of the market, and when new things come out, new technology that can help you be more successful, like Travefy, vacation CRM, those kind of things, just taking advantage of them. For sure. And making sure you have all of your training up to date, make sure you know your products very well. I think I've been to Cancun probably 100 times now because that's where most of my weddings are. So just really making sure that you are the expert that you're saying that you are.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And it looks like, okay, so we have a lot of questions coming in, and it looks like we answered everything that we wanted to chat about, but now let's get into the questions. This is the fun part. So we had a ton of different questions coming in. So I'm going to start from some of the top ones. So these kind of might be taking us back into the first questions. But Sharon asked here, can my niche be family travel or is that too broad? Do you have to have a destination specialty? That's a good question. So how broad is too broad?
That's a very good question. I don't think that family travel is too broad. Destination weddings is somewhat broad as well. But I think that the more specific you are, the more successful you will be in that niche. Like I mentioned, yes, I'm already successful with destination weddings, but when I got into the South Asian weddings within that, you can definitely, with a smaller niche, I think you can be more successful. So for example, with the family travel, if you could be more specific to, multi-generational or group family travel, just the groups aspect of it really brings a whole new level of specialization as well. So I think the more family travel would be good, but the more specific you can be within that, I think the more successful you would be.
Cool. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And another question here. So this is pertaining to destination weddings. Deanna asked, is there somewhere I can learn more about destination weddings? I book sandals and hard rock and want to focus on weddings and honeymoons.
Well, I think specifically for those brands, if you're already selling them, they have great training within those brands already on their weddings. So for example, with the Hard Rock, you have to get your WOW training. They'll take you down to one of the Hard Rock hotels to get that done. If you want to go further from there, I've also done my Ishq Rocks training with Hard Rock, which is their training specializing in the South Asian weddings. Sandals, I know, has specific training on their weddings as well. So I think that's really the place to start if you already have those brands that you're selling, is with those brand specific trainings on weddings. And if you need more than that, reach out to your BDMs. My Hard Rock BDM actually is going to be here at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We're in a different time zone, so don't worry, we don't have to cut it. But keeping those connections, because she will come in, your sales managers, your BDMs, they'll come and meet with you just to give you specific training on what you're trying to learn as well. And that not only gives you the training, but it gives you those connections. And that really sets you apart and can make you more successful as well.
Yeah, it'd be funny if the Hard Rock BDM just walks in. Perfect timing. He's joining in. So another question here, and you kind of touched on this already. Fran asked, once you decided on destination weddings, how did you develop your expertise in that to start going towards that niche?
Well, a whole lot of experience for sure, right? So I just tried to book as many as I possibly could, but also taking advantage of every opportunity, every webinar, every course. Everybody has a course out. You can be a Cancun specialist, you can be a St. Lucia specialist. So taking advantage of a lot of those different areas of training and knowing your product really, really well, which does go with the training, but for me, because I hadn't traveled a lot before I got into the industry, it was really important to visit every hotel, see the wedding setups, and really get the knowledge that way.
Great. Yeah.
I spent a month actually one time when I decided to start specializing in the South Asian weddings. I went to Cancun for a month and I stayed at 10 different hotels. I did each hotel for 3 nights, and they were all hotels that specialized in South Asian weddings because I really
Wow.
found my knowledge there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's cool. That's really great. And that is, I mean, you really just immersed yourself into it, which is great.
Which
You just
you
have to
really
do.
have. It is my life.
Yeah, that's true. So a question here, and this again kind of goes right into it. Richard asked, do you work with wedding planners at the resorts, or do you plan the weddings yourself?
I work with the wedding planners at the resort. So I do have a couple of different levels of service that I will provide to my bride and grooms. So basically, if I'm doing travel services only, which to be honest, I prefer to do, I will confirm the wedding date, wedding package, and venues with the wedding coordinator at the hotel. And then I introduce them to the bride and groom and I let them do their own thing. They can copy me in on emails or ask me questions if they want. But if they need extra assistance on top of that, then I will charge a fee for offsite wedding coordination, which is where I would take over all of the communication between with the wedding coordinator at the hotel, but I wouldn't actually be there for the wedding. So I would just take care of all of the planning and communication in advance. And so I do have a fee for that. And then I do also provide full on-site wedding coordination. For that, of course, there's a travel cost and a fee involved. And to be honest, it's really mostly the South Asian weddings because they are very, very large weddings and multiple days of events and very involved. Those are usually the only ones that do choose to hire for the on-site.
Yeah, that's great. So you basically give them the ability, I can be 100% immersed into this with you, or I can give you some ground of where I'll just help move this along. So you offer kind of different levels, it sounds like.
And I found that really helps set the boundaries at the beginning as well,
Mhm.
because some people who just know that I don't charge a fee think that they can, phone me 7 times a week to ask me about colors, decor, and stuff like that. So kind of setting those expectations that, if you need that much support, there is an extra fee. If you just need assistance with the travel, then.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, setting those boundaries is really nice. Let's see, a question here. Which one? Patricia asked, what was the name of the website you used for your promotional items again?
Now this is only for the passport holders, it was agency promos. Agency promos.
Agency promos.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Um, and then, so actually, I just saw this question too. So you pretty much touched on this. So the answer would be yes, but Linda asked, do you charge a fee to the client before confirming the relationship to work together? So I guess, do you do it before you confirm everything?
Yeah, so I do have a contract that requires basically what I do. So here in Canada, for the bride and groom to start a group, it's normally 200 per person deposit, so a total of $400. So I do have a plan to go contract that when I have couples in for consultations, I can get them to sign and pay that $400, which basically is going to go towards starting their group. We're just not at the point of starting their group yet. I do think that that's a really good idea. To be honest, for myself personally, I've kind of stopped using it because I've really found that when I have people in for a consultation, they're going to book with me at the end anyway, so I kind of don't feel like it's necessary. But definitely, I think it can be a good idea, and I have used it for sure.
Yeah, that's great. And one question, and I think you mentioned this, but we'll say it again here, is what website, so that one that we were showing, the example of the website that you provide for your clients, what do you use? What tool do you use to create those?
And that's WordPress. So
Oh, okay.
Stephanie, that took me
That's a
that,
while.
that took some. Oh, I watched a whole lot of YouTube videos before I got that done. So I did actually get it quoted. That was an idea that I got from another agency that was doing something similar, and I had quoted at that time the people who were taking care of my website. I had quoted it at 10 grand plus to be able to set up with the API and everything, and it just wasn't in my budget at that time. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try to see if I can figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
that I was able to do that. But if you are not able to do that full type of thing, there are a whole lot of other options as well. Vacation CRM will provide forms, not a full website, but it's a form that you can send out to people to fill in their information and stuff as well, that would still have the API to be able to be imported automatically into your CRM as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, WordPress is amazing, but it takes a lot of work and understanding.
And I'll still say my knowledge is somewhat limited, but I'm able to do just what I need to do, and that's good enough.
Yeah. So, and that's cool. And that kind of is a question I'm just going to come up with here is, do you think is it worth an investment of your own time to figure out something like that? So now that you know what to do, you can pretty much run with it. Or do you kind of wish that you would have hired somebody else to do it, for example?
No, I'm sure maybe it would be a little bit better if somebody else had done it. To be honest, I like my website that I've done better than I liked, the people that I was paying, because I put that much more, time and care and effort into making sure everything is absolutely perfect. But yeah, no, I don't think I would do anything different. I'm very happy with what I've done. It saved me a whole lot of money, and then ongoing, I can maintain everything and do everything myself. So, and it's something that I'm really proud of, that I was actually able to
Yeah.
how to do that. So, nope, I wouldn't change a thing, Stephanie.
You could add that to your LinkedIn. Just, can do WordPress. And I pulled up your website too. So if anybody missed that at the beginning, you can see that's what she built, and that would be on WordPress. That would be on there.
Yes, yeah. So I've got two websites actually. My wedding website is different than my just Baconko one, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's really cool. So question two, someone asked this when we were chatting about Facebook groups. So does Facebook groups allow for marketing of services by the moderator?
Well, that depends on the group. Each group is going to have separate rules, and I would strongly recommend that you read those rules before you try doing any advertising, because normally there are definitely rules about vendors actually advertising. Where I have had the success, I have not had success just putting an ad out there and hoping people would actually respond to it. Where I've had the success is where people are actually posting, asking for recommendations. And in most groups, anyway, moderators would be okay with that. If you just don't PM people, don't message people if they're not asking for it, right? But just responding to a post, asking for recommendations, promoting yourself is generally accepted.
Yeah. That's good to know. And also too, it looks like we're getting a ton of questions, which is really great, but we do have a limited time. So I'm going to keep going through some of these here, but apologies if anyone on here doesn't get it answered, just a heads up on that. But I do have another question that came in a little earlier. Kelly asked, do you do only destination weddings now, or do you still sell other travel? And if yes, do you have staff, or are you brick and mortar or home-based?
Okay, so starting from the beginning, I am still full service. I've thought about it and debated it several times if I should do just the destination weddings. My problem is because I'm so based on the word of mouth and referrals. People don't have multiple destination weddings, and some people just still want to book everything with me. Every wedding that I do, I get at least one or two clients, or the bride and groom, or the mother of the bride. My first destination wedding ever, I just booked the mother of the bride from that wedding on their trip, so they're still booking with me. So I haven't had the heart to, although it's definitely less lucrative, takes up more of my time, but I just haven't had the heart yet to be able to say no to that. And sorry, what was the second parts of the question, Stephanie?
Do you have a staff, and then also are you brick and mortar or home based?
So I started out home-based. This is my office now, so this is actually my boardroom. I have an office over here. I did move to my office because I did have a team. There was 3 staff that I was working with at some time. I have not had a lot of success in finding staff who were able to be successful in this industry, to be honest. So I've been on my own now. So I had staff, I'm going to say, for maybe 5 years, and I've been on my own now for just over a year.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful office setup back there too.
Thanks.
So nice.
So this is another way that I, stand out and tell people that I really specialize. If you come in for your consultation for your destination wedding, you're going to think you're sitting at your destination wedding.
That's really cool. That's another value right there. That's amazing. You really are immersing yourself in. So let's see, a question. Oh, here's a good question from Sharon. What tool do you use for organizational purposes? For example, having all of your communication with your clients and prospects all in one place.
CRM and Travefy.
Nice.
It all just goes back to that. So in CRM, we've got a correspondence tab. So as long as I CC CRM on all communication, all the communication just stays right there. If I have, any particular type of document, invoice, receipt, or something that I want to make sure the client keeps all the time, I just attach that to their Travefy. So CRM really keeps me organized with everything. One of the reasons I like the preferred supplier that I book most of my groups with is they will accept, I can export a rooming list out of CRM, and that's all I use for my rooming lists with my supplier. So that's really handy because the guests are booking themselves on the website. It's being imported directly into CRM. I'm exporting it directly from CRM and sending it to the supplier. So I have no way that I can mess things up. I can't misspell a name. I can't change a departure city. I can't, everything is just smooth and seamless.
Awesome. That's cool. And so we have these two questions, and they might end up wrapping us up, but they are really, really good. They're really bringing us into this whole finding your niche and inspiration on how to do that. So one person's asked, Kirsty asked, I'm 1.5 years in. I thought I would have clicked onto my niche by now. I still haven't. Any recommendations for how to figure out a niche?
Well, I think sometimes if it doesn't come and fall in your lap, which it doesn't always, I think you just have to decide. Decide what you're passionate about, what you could see yourself doing, and just start calling yourself. I started from day one. I started calling myself a destination wedding specialist. I'd never booked a destination wedding. It took a long time before I had built up that level of experience and expertise for people to actually recognize me as an expert. But you have to start someplace. So just start calling yourself an expert in that niche. And then you do every piece of training, every education, every experience that you can get within that niche, just to try to take it to the next level.
That's awesome. And I think I already know the answer to this one, but it's just good. And I want to bring it up. And Rachel asked, I would really like to specialize in Africa and Indian Ocean, but I am nervous to do this. How would you suggest I do the transition? Just bite the bullet? That's what she said.
Yeah. Well, pretty much, yeah. Just bite the bullet and do it, but don't bite the bullet so hard that you're refusing to book other types of travel, right? I probably would have given up fairly early on if I hadn't had all of these other clients that were still booking with me while I built my destination wedding business, and that's another reason why I don't feel right, just cutting them off at this point. But yeah, bite the bullet, call yourself an expert, make sure you've been there, make sure you know the product really, really well, and in the meantime, while you're waiting for that, while you're waiting for the clients to come, waiting for the business to build, do everything you can to just maintain things until you've been successful.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, hopefully this, everyone will have to follow up with us. If anyone after this webinar starts biting the bullet, let us know. We have to follow up on that. This was a good question, and you kind of already hit on this, so this might have been asked after you mentioned this, but Jessica asked, so while trying to build your niche, should we start turning away other customers? That seems hard, is what she said.
Yeah, I don't think so. And, like I've said, I still don't. I'm very well established into my niche, and I still don't turn away other customers. I think that it is okay to turn away other customers once you're really established in your niche. I think it would be okay for me to do it now. I still choose not to, but I think that you could really shoot yourself in the foot if you try to do that too early, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Another question here is Richard asked, if your host agency does not permit charging fees, do you have any suggestions?
I'm not with a host anymore, and so I've got my own, in-house credit card machine. I can charge everything I want, so that one's a little bit difficult for me. I guess Normally, hosts will allow you to charge a fee as long as they're the one processing the fee. So I guess you could look into that. Other than that, I guess you could have the client sign a cancellation waiver saying that they would be charged if they did cancel. I don't know if that would be successful, but go with the host that allows you to charge a fee. Let me say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you're an expertise in something too. So, like you said, it creates boundaries too, which is really nice and allows you to have different levels of how much you're helping. This kind of goes. You actually mentioned this. You pretty much answered this question in that statement. But Gail asked, how do you process payments with the resort or your payment type, like Square, or how do you process fees?
So normally for the payments, deposits and payments for the vacation package, I always process that through the supplier because I don't want to pay the processing fees on that, right? So the more I can process through the supplier, the better. But I do have, I'm working with Payfirma right now. So I do have software similar to Square. I do have software where I can process. I don't actually have debit at the moment, but I do have, I can process credit cards there as well. I do that only for my own fees. If I'm charging a wedding coordination fee, or if there's some reason, why I've paid for something for my client on my credit card and then I charge them back through there. But I definitely don't use that very frequently. I would prefer to have it processed through the supplier if I can.
Okay, cool. So this will be our last question. This is, we'll bring it in here. But this is a really good one that we actually didn't really touch on. So I'm excited that Ashley asked this. Do you do any inbound marketing like blogging to add to your customer base?
I don't actually. I should. I try to. I try to stay active on my Facebook business page with different posts. So, for example, when somebody books a destination wedding, I'll put up a congratulations post on their wedding day. I'll put up congratulations post when I receive, recognition or accomplishments or awards. I'll put up posts like that. But that is pretty much all I do.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great. And this has been this has been really awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people on here have felt, hopefully feel inspired and kind of know and can take, especially at the beginning of the year, again, resolutions. It's a good time, fun time to start thinking about what can I do to take it to the next level. So I just want to thank you so much again for spending time with us today and sharing your expertise and knowledge with us and experience. And again, after this, everyone, you'll get an email after this, but feel free to reach out to professional@travefy.com if you have any questions at all as well that maybe didn't get answered. But other than that, I mean, that was a very, very fast hour webinar. That was fun.
I'm like, why are you saying we're stopping already? It can't be that.
I know.
Thank you so very, very much for having me today, Stephanie. This has really just been a pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thank you so much again, too. And thanks again, everybody. And keep watching for these Travefy Academy webinars. We'll try to do, I think next month, we are going to be focusing in on SEO. So kind of bringing in your WordPress stuff. So if anyone on here takes a plunge into their websites, this will be a helpful one for them, and blogging as well. But thank you so much again, Megan. And thanks everyone else. And have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thanks. See ya.